Hey guys, so time has finally come to fix the storage area. I don't know about you guys, but all my stuff is typically just stashed in there. And on my unit, I have a smaller storage bay. It's not as wide as some of the others. And then typical to probably what you guys have seen as well is the inside has that angled wall that kind of takes up the majority of your space as well. So the goal here is to fix that, but also add a MORryde storage drawer that will pull out to make things a little bit more accessible. And yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so here's the opening to my door. You can see it's a lot smaller. I just took everything out, but here is all. I don't have too much stuff in there, but it's just a pain. My 50 amp short cord's already hooked up right now, so obviously that would be in there as well. And of course I got the Panda, and so I have a couple hoses for fresh water, and then rinsing the black tanks, and a couple odds and ends, a little bit of tools and whatnot. So it's not a ton, like I said, but the issue is just that since the storage area is so narrow, then I have to just kind of shove everything back there. So you can see I already have the wall disconnected there. I've got it unscrewed, but it kind of sits at an angle almost like it is now, and it just takes up a ton of space, and it's just not needed. So if I look back here, so here's all, you got the vacuum here, the central vac, which I actually never use, and you know, I got the Nautilus system, the furnace, the water heater. A lot of this stuff I just need to kind of push out of the way so I can make room for the storage bay. Okay, let's open up this box and see what we got. Not too bad. So the bottle I got is 26 inches wide, I think. It's about 25 inches wide, which is just wide enough for the opening in mine. So it's 60 inches long. They have various sizes. You can go longer, you can go shorter. I definitely can't go longer, but if you have the larger bays, you can get ones that extend the whole way through. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the wall removed. Kind of part two of this project is I'm gonna have to redesign the angle of this wall anyway, but that'll be in the next video. So if you guys have the larger space, then you don't have to worry about this if you have the wider area. But if you have a narrow area like this with the wall that kind of angles in and cuts off, you know, most of your space there, then you'll have to do some modifications as well. So I'm gonna get this panel removed. Okay, so next, since I have the vac that is attached to the wall itself for the main wall, I'm just gonna disconnect that. There's just the main hose for the vacuum, the suctions, and then a power cord. Okay, so next I'm just gonna entirely remove the vacuum plate from the wall. So on the back side here, see there's the screws that are holding it in. So this guy here just pulls down, and then that pulls out, like so. Okay, so the front plate's off, and then all you need to do is remove these 4 screws here, 3 and 4. Okay, so that is now out, and these wires here, they're not quick disconnects of any kind. They're actually crimped on, so I'm gonna have to cut these off, and when we put it back together, we'll just recrimp them back on. So, or I might not even install this again since I never use it, but we'll see. But since these are crimped on, I just got to snip them off. Also make sure that any fuses, breakers are turned off so you don't short anything out. By the way, the main power cable, this is just your typical AC 120 receptacle. I already unplugged this, it's just right there. So I think this is just a signal to enable it, so there's probably no power going through this. It's just a relay, but still, just make sure all your circuit breakers and fuses are off, just to be safe. All right, so I've got that cut, and now I can completely remove this and remove the wall as well. Okay, with everything out, just doing some quick test fit. So I know width-wise, it's not gonna be an issue. So this is 26 inches wide. and it's made for this opening, so that'll fit perfectly. But it's 60 inches long. I could have got a shorter one, but I wanted to utilize as much space as possible. So it's gonna come to about this edge. Obviously, I don't want it to extend to this little storage area here. So I want it to end right here. So 60 inches puts it right up against the water pump here. The water pump is just bolted to the floor, you know, easy to relocate. So I'll probably temporarily do that, but really I want the water pump, you know, completely out of the way. I'll probably put it up here. You know, everything's just kind of like randomly bolted down. Like this is, see how this is just kind of like randomly placed there and bolted down. All this wiring and piping around everywhere. So no kind of rhyme or reason, of course, nothing new. I'll unscrew this water pump and that'll give me the clearance that I need for the storage. Okay, now the fun part. Now we load it in for a test fit and just make sure it's in the general area. We'll mark off kind of where we want the bolt, screw holes to be, and yeah, just make sure it fits good right now. Also, highly recommend 2 people. It'd be much easier when putting this in. All right, test fit looks good. So the option I went with only comes out about 60% of the way. They do have options that come out, I think, 80% of the way. I think those are only for the ones that pass through the entire storage, so they're much longer, and that wouldn't fit in mine. Okay, so one of the last things where I mounted the kind of the front edge of this bolt, I somewhat cut out a little section of this black piece just so I could get this as close as possible to the edge, and then I just put some silicone, as you can see there, just to kind of fill in anything, just to prevent anything that could happen in the future. But yeah, that's the final product. Alright, that's it. Finally done with the project. I got the slide installed, much better. I do wish that I could have had the full pass-through, because then it will extend all the way, but still, this is still much better than what I had before. It extends, you know, about 60% out, so it's really smooth motion too, and it feels really stable so far. So I've had it in there for a couple weeks. Took me a little bit to get some screws to finalize the last piece of actually mounting it to the floor there. So that's all wrapped up, and on to the next project. See ya.